This is the Thriving Dentist Show with Gary Takis, where we help you develop your ideal dental practice, one that provides personal, professional, and financial satisfaction.
Welcome to another episode of the Thriving Dentist Show. I'm Gary Takis, your podcast co-host. We have a great episode for you today. This episode is titled 6 High-Value Services That Are Excellent Practice Builders. Hey, I think you're really going to enjoy this Thriving Dentist Show episode. Before we start on today's episode, I actually have 3 announcements to make. The first announcement I have is I want to wish all of you, in the time that this episode will be published, it's right in the middle of the holiday season. I want to wish all of our listeners a wonderful holiday season. I hope that your holiday season includes time with family, with loved ones. Hope it includes some personal time to recharge your batteries, maybe to think about all the wonderful things we have to be grateful for. One of my favorite times of the year. I want to wish you all a wonderful holiday season. The next announcement that I have is coming up. Our next masterclass is a very unique masterclass. It's coming up on Tuesday, January 16th, about a month after this episode is published. This masterclass is going to be different than any masterclass we've ever done. I'm doing this in partnership with a very dear colleague of mine, Janice Hurley. Now, you'll all recognize Janice if you're a regular listener to the show. She's been a repeat guest on the Thriving Dentist Show. But Janice and I are doing a masterclass, a 2-hour masterclass, on the evening of January 16th, 5 p.m. Pacific time, 8 p.m. Eastern time. And it's titled Mastering Confidence in Your Personal and Professional Life. Mastering confidence in your personal and professional life. Very practical. It'll be information that you can use the next day in your life. And you can hopefully use every day thereafter in your life. This masterclass we're doing to benefit a particular charity. And the charity that we are supporting is called Pastures of Grace. Pastures of Grace is a nonprofit organization that was founded by Janice's oldest daughter, Jennifer. Jennifer and her husband, Mark, created Pastures of Grace. What Pastures of Grace is all about is providing support to young women in crisis. The reality is there's a lot of young moms that are in crisis, and Jennifer and Mark wanted to do something about that. They wanted to support these young moms. They wanted to give them life skills, parenting skills, personal skills so they get back into the workforce. And Pasture of Grace is all about supporting young women in crisis, helping them become better parents, become better people, becoming self-sufficient, and breaking the cycle of poverty and sometimes abuse that goes along with that. So every dollar of tuition goes directly to Pastures of Grace from that masterclass. So please come join us. It's an incredible topic, but it's an incredible organization that we're supporting. You can register for that masterclass by going to thrivingdentist.com/masterclass. Come join us. You'll be very happy you did. The last announcement I have is we have a guest contributor that is none other than my co-host in this podcast, Naren Aruraja. And Naren's going to talk about 3 tips that will help you market high-value services in your practice. That tip will go very nicely with this podcast episode. So with no further ado, here's Naren with 3 tips that will help you market high-value services.
My tip today is 3 tips that'll help you market high-value services. 3 tips that'll help you market high-value services. I'm Naren, also the co-host of the Thriving Dentist Show, and today I'm coming to you with the 3 tips. And the reason I decided to do these 3 tips is Gary is talking about 6 high-value services that are excellent practice builders. So if you're going to focus on these high-value services, you need to know how to market them. So hopefully you benefit from these tips. Tip number 1, dominate Google. As all of you know, 95% of dental practice owners have no choice but to be dependent on PPO plans or give Google a lot of money to get new patients through ads. Those are the choices. So if you don't want to be in that 95% who's dependent on PPO plans or give Google a lot of money to get new patients, then you need to learn how to master SEO. If you master SEO, you will get 95% of the free traffic, meaning you don't have to pay every time somebody clicks on that link to communicate with that patient and, of course, enjoy that patient as a new patient. So dominate SEO. There are 6 things you have to do. We'll include a link. I did a podcast with Gary not too long ago where we talk about these 6 things and how to dominate SEO. The second tip, once people are Googling you and they're finding you organically, they are willing to trust you. Therefore, they'll give you 90 seconds. If you get the same person through ad, they will only give you 15 seconds. Let's give you a benefit of the doubt. Let's assume you're dominating Google and they're on your landing page. So how do we convince them to pick up the phone and call you? Every single patient, after they find you through Google, asking the 3 same questions. The first question they want to know is, are you an expert? So let's say they Googled veneers, they go to your page for veneers. They want to know you are an expert in veneers. So highlight your cases, your before and afters. Include the full face after picture to show the transformation, show the outcome. Do a small write-up explaining what you did and what the patient thought about what you did. We'll include a link to Dr. Hoyt's page. He's the one who has done a wonderful veneer page, and I would like to use this page as a sample. Second thing you want to do is you want to make sure the people who end up on those pages like you. Why? If they don't like you, they are not going to call your office. So do simple 45-second to 1-minute videos. Again, refer to the video that Dr. Hoyt has done. He doesn't use any complex language. It's easy to understand. He says, hello, welcome. He talks to you as if he's talking to a friend. So emulate some of those strategies and build those wonderful videos. And last but not least, reviews are important. Embed those reviews on that landing page. So when people are on that page, they know you, they can trust you because someone like them has trusted you and that review has been verified by Google. And last but not least, the third and final tip is pay attention to metrics. I tell all my clients, are you ranking for 100 or more keywords within 12 months? If not, your SEO is not working for you. Are you getting 100 or more phone calls where 20% are new patient calls just from SEO? If not, SEO is not working for you. So pay attention to the metrics. If you want us to kind of go deeper and you want to make 2024 an amazing year, you can book a marketing strategy meeting. And prior to the meeting, our team will spend 6 hours telling you how you're doing with SEO, telling you how you're doing with your landing pages, and also give you a plan. It's our gift to you. That's our holiday gift, $900 value. So ekwa.com/MSM, ekwa.com/MSM. Enjoy this gift and Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Welcome back to the Thriving Dentist Coaching in Action segment. Today's topic is 6 high-value services that are excellent practice builders. 6 high-value services that are excellent practice builders. Gary, I'm really looking forward to that event you're going to be doing with Janice and where we are donating all the proceeds to the charity. First of all, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. In this time, I know we all want to give back. And Gary, I think that's a great initiative by you.
Hey, Naren, normally at this point in the podcast, you thank our guest contributors. So I'm gonna thank you. So you don't have to thank yourself, Naren. I'll thank you. Hey, thanks for providing those 3 tips that will help dentists market more high value services. It fits so nicely in with this topic of adding high value services to the practice.
Absolutely. And as many of you know, we provide marketing services and we have clients, our clients plus clients we share with Gary, and almost every single one of them, I can't think of a single one where this doesn't apply to, always have a few services that's their favorite, things where they really, really enjoy providing those services. And many of these services are life-changing services, like creating a brand new smile for someone. And that smile is going to change that person's life for decades, right? So these types of life-changing services, you know, many of them are high-value services. They enjoy it and they want to do more of it. So today's episode is all about how Gary has helped his clients and, of course, the listeners of this podcast incorporate more of these high value services and how to make them practice builders. And I also know the other side of this. I know the ones who embrace a lot of what Gary is going to be teaching today have seen their profits grow significantly, because the beauty of high value services is typically they are paid out of pocket, and also they are typically like in the thousands of dollars or tens of thousands of dollars. So it's a win-win for everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. So hey, let's dive into this. So in terms of adding high value services, rather than thinking about it from a marketing perspective, I want you to think about it as, what services do you enjoy doing? What are the things that you enjoy? And remember, dentistry comes in a lot of different flavors. Some dentists love doing endodontic therapy. They really enjoy the challenges of providing root canals successfully. Another dentist say, I'd rather slam my head in the car door than do a molar endo. And you know what? It's okay. Either one of those perspectives is okay. So I'm often asked by my clients, how do I go about determining what high value services to add? Well, my answer would be, follow your heart. What do you like to do? What is it that you would imagine yourself taking 1,000 hours of CE over time, over the years, that you couldn't wait to go to that CE course on that topic? What is that? What is it? So rather than saying, well, I have, these people in my community, maybe I should do more of this. What I would say is follow your heart. Because no matter what, you're going to be having, if you're doing treatment you enjoy, you're going to be having more fun at work, right? In fact, many dentists tell me, hey, when I'm doing this, I don't even feel like I'm at work. I feel like I'm playing. I'm having a great time doing this. So whatever that is. So, go to the place in the world where you do your best thinking, and think about the clinical areas that just tickle you, that you really love to provide. Now, with that said, I'm going to provide 6 specific high value services for you to consider. But please know, these are not, it's not meant to be a menu, a generic menu, but just here's some to consider. And maybe it'll get you thinking about some other things. So here's 6 to consider. I'll number them 1 through 6, not in importance, but just so I remember to cover them. Number 1, consider placing and restoring dental implants. Placing and restoring dental implants. Dental implants give us a chance to give a patient a second chance at good oral health. And very often, helping restore a smile with implants is a true gift that makes a big difference, especially if that missing tooth or teeth happen to be in the aesthetic zone. So placing and restoring implants would be one to consider. A second one would be adult orthodontics. And I would consider the idea of offering maybe a couple different flavors within adult orthodontics. Maybe you do Invisalign or aligners, clear, just to be agnostic. I'll use Invisalign, but it could be whatever the system you use for clear aligners. But it might also be useful to add another area, which would be a short-term adult orthodontics, something like 6-month smiles would be an example of that. If you have both of those options, for example, if you have an aligner option, patients like aligners because it's virtually invisible. It's not very obvious that they're in orthodontic treatment. And for adults, they like that. They like being inconspicuous that way. They don't want to look like they're in middle school, right? But aligners have one downside, and that is, what if the patient isn't compliant about wearing their aligners? Well, if they're not going to wear the aligners, then Invisaligns are not going to produce the result for them. So for the patients that aren't compliant, and you can find out by asking, you say, hey, Naren, if we use Invisalign, you're going to have to wear these aligners. Let me ask you to answer this honestly. Are you the kind of person that will wear the aligners faithfully? And, Naren, you might just, yeah, you bet. I'll follow your directions, doc. Great. Take them at face value, so, okay, sure. But Naren might say, I'm not really good at that. And that's where we could go to 6-month smiles, where they're brackets. You take the compliance issue out of it. Brackets are bonded on their teeth. 6-month smiles, the brackets are ceramic, so they're virtually invisible. Then there's a wire that goes across the brackets, and the torque on the wire is what causes the tooth movement. And it's not completely invisible, but it's very unobtrusive. and it fits an adult patient because, again, it doesn't look like they're in middle school for sure. A third high-value service that many dentists love to do is cosmetic dentistry. Now, cosmetic dentistry could be a lot of things, Naren. Heck, I jokingly say that you could give some of your patients a toothbrush and we could consider that cosmetic dentistry. Okay, I'm kidding. But what I traditionally think of as cosmetic dentistry is a lab fabricated porcelain veneer case. It might be 8 units, 10 units. Typically, it's upper anterior, but it could also be lower anterior, and providing that patient a gorgeous smile. Cosmetic dentistry any of these high-value services can be life-changing. Where the patient looks in the mirror for the first time and sees their new smile, and they literally tears roll down their cheeks because they're so happy. But this is something that is not uncommon at all when we provide cosmetic dentistry to our patients. A fourth option, which is often not thought of as a high-value service, but I want you to start thinking about it, would be oral conscious sedation. Oral conscious sedation. I'm not talking about IV sedation here, although IV sedation is a great service. I'm talking about oral conscious sedation. You're using a benzodiazepine. Typically, that's administered before their appointment, and it just makes the appointment very comfortable for them. The benzodiazepine, you should get training on this. Anytime we involve the airway, it should involve training. I really like the work that the DOCS organization does, DOCS, Dental Organization for Conscious Sedation. Brilliant training on conscious sedation. And you don't have to get exotic about it. You can literally do level 1 anxiolysis, where it will be just single dose, no cocktailing. You're not adding other other sources. You're just using the benzodiazepine. You're not multi-dosing. The patient's conscious, as oral conscious sedation would indicate. They're conscious. They fully respond. Turn left, turn right, open wider for me. They fully respond. They're just kind of in a twilight state. And it really allows every visit to be completely comfortable. So oral conscious sedation can be a really good addition to the practice. Naren, I have a client in my coaching work that we recently took a look at this, and we discovered that in this practice, the average oral conscious sedation case was $7,400. $7,400.
$7,400. That's the average.
$7,400 in this particular practice. And it was not exotic dentistry. It was fillings, root canals, and crowns. In this particular office, they have CAD/CAM. They have in-office milling. So they're actually doing all that in one visit. It's a longer appointment. Depends how much treatment they need, but that $7,400 case is typically a 3 or 4 hour appointment. But the patient's completely comfortable. That's pretty good production per hour, wouldn't you say, Naren? When you look at that?
That is excellent, Gary. I mean, that's one of the reasons that I noticed, that one of the benefits I noticed our clients enjoy is that these high value services would significantly increase the production per hour. So almost like you have like one arm that is 3 times, 4 times more powerful than the other arm. So I'm using arm as like a metaphor for hours, right? Some hours are so much better for you.
One of the great advantages in our own practice, we choose not to charge for oral conscious sedation. We don't charge for it. When you go through the DOCS program, they'll tell you that about half of their participants charge for it, about half of them don't. We've chosen not to charge. A typical charge might be somewhere between $350 and $400 for the oral conscious sedation. And by the way, there's a legitimate, rationale for charging because you had to go through training. You need to have some armamentarium. You need to have the ability to monitor vital signs. You need to have reversal agents, locked in a cabinet. So there is training and there is justification for that. But we tell our patients that when they ask, well, does the sedation cost more? We say, well, we've chosen not to charge for that. We don't charge at all because we simply want to remove any barriers so you can have as comfortable an appointment as possible. Just so you know, a typical charge for offices that do charge is between $350 to $400. And we let them know that so that way they have some value attached to it. But we choose not to charge so we can make sure that that's not getting in the way of you having a very comfortable appointment. About the only downside, Naren, is that they have to have someone drive them and pick them up because they're not in a position to drive after the appointment. And they just have to, organize a driver for them. And, these days that could be Uber, it could be Lyft. Generally it's a family member, that drives them home. But oral conscious sedation, and doctors, it can be some of the most enjoyable dentistry you do, because you could get up 2 times an hour from your oral conscious sedation and go do hygiene checks. And your patient in the oral conscious sedation doesn't even know you left the room because of the twilight nature of the sedation. They don't know you left.
Right.
So I don't think any dentistry is completely stress-free, Aaron, when you're treating a human being, but this might be as close as you get to it. All right. Next, a 5th high-value service. Consider, if it's something you enjoy, doing more full mouth restorative dentistry. You think about patients that are older, maybe 60 plus. A lot of times they've had a lot of different dentistry done over the years, a lot of different patchwork things done over the years. And maybe they're at the point in their life where they really want to get their mouth in good shape for the last chapter of their life. People are living a long time. Retirement now, a retirement cycle can be 30 or 40 years. And people want to be healthy. They want to have all their teeth. They want to be able to eat anything they want to eat. And they want to invest in themselves. They spend their kids' inheritance, right, Aaron? Have you ever seen that bumper sticker on the back of a motorhome? I'm spending my kids' inheritance. They do. So if that's something that interests you, go out and develop your skills on complex restorative dentistry. 3 great places to go. I have a bias towards the Pankey Institute because I'm on faculty there, but the Pankey Institute would be a great place to go. To be fair, there's others. Spear Education here in Scottsdale would be a great place to go. The work that Frank Spear and their team does is fantastic. Dr. John Coyce in Seattle, their work is fantastic. Another great place to go. Dawson Center. The late Pete Dawson, the center continues to provide amazing care, amazing education. There's 4 places you go to learn how to do complex dentistry for sure. And finally, a 6th high-value service to consider. Consider diagnosing and treating obstructive sleep apnea with appliance therapy. The incident of OSA, obstructive sleep apnea, in the population is way larger than we know. It's a huge segment of the population. And many of those people will not use a CPAP machine, will not use it because of the obtrusive hassle nature of the CPAP. It's like, no, I'm not doing that. And even when you visit with them about the risk, do you understand the risk of obstructive sleep? Yes, I understand the risk. I understand it could lead to my death, but I am not going to wear that CPAP machine. I've heard a patient say, I'd rather die than wear the CPAP.
Right.
Really? Well, there are great dental solutions in terms of airway management and appliances that can allow you to perhaps not only do life-changing dentistry, but perhaps life-saving dentistry. So there's 6. Number 1, place and restore dental implants. Number 2, adult orthodontics. Number 3, cosmetic dentistry. Number 4, oral conscious sedation. Number 5, full mouth restorative dentistry or full mouth rehabilitative dentistry. And number 6, diagnosing and treating obstructive sleep apnea with appliance therapy. So there's 6, Naren. And of course, there's others. Maybe this will inspire some thinking on your part. What are the things that you would love to do more of? And like I said, frame it in the idea of, imagine having a goal of taking over 1,000 hours of CE in a particular topic. What would get you really excited about, oh my gosh, I can't wait to go here to learn more about this? Because if your answer is, man, I don't know if I'm going to sleep that night, I'm so excited to go on this CE trip, then that's the kind of thing you want to be doing more of. And this is such a great enhancement to any practice. Naren, I looked ahead and I saw some questions that we have. We're going to hit pause here on the coaching and action segment. We're going to go into more detail in the Q&A segment. So let's hit pause here, and I can't wait to field those questions.
Gary, I really enjoyed the 6 high-value services and how to use them as practice builders. Appreciate that. The big thing that I took away from this is do the things you love. Don't do it just because somebody else is doing it. Don't do it because it's popular. Just follow your heart, because this is all about, enjoying yourself as much as anything else.
And when I'm asked, obviously the title of the podcast, The Thriving Dentist Show, I've been asked by many dentists, what does it mean to have a thriving practice? Well, my answer is it's a practice that provides personal, professional, and financial satisfaction. And professional satisfaction, the middle one, is doing more of the kind of dentistry you enjoy doing, because then you're not working, you're playing. And that's really what this is about.
I do have 4 questions lined up for you, Gary. Let me jump into the very first question. Of the 6 high-value services you discussed in the coaching and action segment, would you pick one as the most profitable?
That's a great question. Now, arguably, all of them are profitable. All of them, all 6 of those high-value services that I mentioned are very profitable. And specifically, I'm talking about, production per unit of time, production per hour. They're all profitable. Each one of them. Some of it depends on where you are in your learning curve. Like for example, the first time, early on when you're doing smiles in cosmetic dentistry, it might take you a longer time to do an 8 or 10 unit upper anterior prep and temporization. But later you'll be able to whittle that time down with efficiency. So some of it depends on the specific amount of time and your skill set evolution in developing that. But I am going to answer the question, even though I could say all of them are very profitable. There's 2 that jump out at me as being most profitable. One would be placing and restoring implants. When you look at per unit of time, I think it's hard to argue that anything else is more productive per unit of time. And of course, you have to develop some efficiency around it. That first case you do won't be your most efficient time use, but you will get to the point where you're very efficient. But I'm also going to say it's also possible that oral conscious sedation can be most profitable when you look at your production per unit of time. Depends on what the case is, depends on the mix of fillings, root canals, and crowns. But I would say it would be a neck and neck tie between those 2, placing, restoring implants, and a larger case done with oral conscious sedation. But all of them would increase your profitability in practice when, say, compared to everyday general dentistry.
Thank you, Gary.
Would be more profitable. Yeah,
I would agree with that, because of the clients that we work with, we have practices that do literally millions of dollars just on implants, and they are so profitable that they just do implants. I mean, they were doing a lot more, and then they just become places that focus on implants. Same thing with the oral conscious sedation. I can think of dozens and dozens of practices that use oral conscious sedation as a way to drive profits, because half of America doesn't go to the dentist because they're afraid of the dentist, right? So
yeah, it's actually a hard statistic. 49% of adult Americans put off a visit to the dentist because of fear.
Right.
And 22% won't go at all because of fear. It's a huge universe when you think about it.
Right.
And if you can, one of the ways you can promote oral conscious sedation in your practice is in many practices, and you look at the demographics of your practice, many practices see more women than men. And it's not because women have more, dental problems. It's because women are typically more faithful about keeping appointments with healthcare providers. Right. They're better at that. So oftentimes we're seeing—
I would say they're more faithful at keeping appointments, period.
There we go. They're better people. Go ahead, say it, Naren. My wife would agree with that.
I would agree too.
She would agree with that. They're better. Okay. But many times we're seeing in a couple, perhaps the wife, but not the husband. And we can say, hey, Linda, I notice that we don't see your husband as a patient in the practice. Does he have a dentist? And very often, she might say, oh, he goes to a dentist near his work. Oh, okay, I'm glad he's going to the dentist. But often she'll say, no, I love the guy, but he's a wimp. He's afraid of going to the dentist. I say, well, Linda, we really should get him here or somewhere, because over time that can be very damaging to his oral health. We'd love to see him. And by the way, we offer oral conscious sedation so we can make every visit as comfortable as possible.
Right.
And she'll say, oh my gosh, if he knew that, I think he'd be happy to make an appointment. Well, let him know. We'd love we could provide that for them. Every visit will be completely comfortable. And then there we go. There's marketing. And of course, you can market it through organic SEO.
Right.
And you can use all the words around, I'm afraid of going to the dentist.
Pain-free dentistry. That's
Yeah.
like pain is a huge. I think the number one thing that keeps people away is money. Number two is pain. Like a lot of people are afraid of pain.
Yeah. And that can be done very, very predictably and successfully with the proper organic search engine optimization campaign. Of course, you can help dentists do that.
Yeah, if anyone is interested, echo.com/MSM, we can help you develop that strategy. Gary, I do have a question for you about dental implants. Let me ask it. I would like to add dental implants as a clinical service in my practice, but I'm unsure if I want to place them. Can you suggest a CE course that might help me decide?
Yeah, that's a great question. And by the way, you could choose either route. You could choose to restore implants and then work with a specialist, likely an oral surgeon or a periodontist, to place the implants, and then you would restore them. That's a very viable way to integrate implants into your practice. And the other way would be to develop your skill set and your capabilities of actually placing implants as well. I don't think either answer is the right answer. It just depends on you. It depends on what your comfort level is. But if you want to explore this, the idea of, hey, is placing the implants for me? I have a very strong recommendation. My good friend Justin Moody has created a postgraduate CE program. It's called The Pathway. The Pathway. Naren, check my URL, but I believe it's just thepathway.com. But do me a favor and check that if you would.
I'll do that.
But it's a whole series of courses around mastering, placing, restoring implants. So I might suggest that you take their year-long continuum. I believe it happens in 4 different weekends. It's right here in Phoenix. 4 different weekends over the year, where the first 2 weekends you'll be placing implants on synthetic jaws and pig's jaws. And the last 2 weekends, you'll be placing implants along with their instructors side by side. You'll be placing implants on homeless veterans. These are veterans that have fallen on some difficult times. They are sourced by a local social service agency. These are healthy adults who are drug-free. They're living in a shelter. However, they're missing some teeth and they could benefit from dental implants. What a great service. I love Justin Moody's heart for helping veterans. What a great thing to be participate in. And I guarantee that at the end of that year-long continuum, you will flat out know whether you want to learn more about placing implants or not. Maybe it's just, that's not for me. I'll just do the restorative part. And that investment in that course will maybe be the best investment you ever spent. But did I get the right URL there on thepathway.com?
You did. And I'm a huge fan of Dr. Moody as well. So I totally agree with everything Gary just said. Definitely check it out. It might be a really smart investment.
Yeah. Yeah. That'd be a great way to discern, because you're going to, it's not just academic. You're going to be in there and you're going to discover, hey, this is for me, or maybe this isn't for me. And you get to decide.
Let me ask you question number 3. This is a challenge that actually I can remember a lot of our mutual clients even grapple with, and I know many of them have booked a meeting to talk to you about it, Gary. And the question is, what are your thoughts about working with medical insurance for treating obstructive sleep apnea?
Well, Naren, have you ever heard that saying, if it sounds good, too good to be true, it probably is?
I have.
My grandmother.
Yes.
My grandmother was probably the brightest person I've ever met, and she had an 8th grade education, formal. But man, she was smart. So if you think dealing with dental insurance is a hassle, if this was a live audience, I'd ask you to raise your hand right now, and every hand in the room would go up. How many of you think dealing with dental insurance is a hassle? Every hand in the room would go up.
Everyone. Yeah, exactly.
Well, if you think, so let me tell you this. Dealing with dental insurance is a walk in the park compared to dealing with medical insurance. Remember, insurance is all about one thing: taking in premiums and not paying benefits.
Right.
And the medical insurance companies are masters at this. So although you can go to courses and you can learn about medical billing, you can learn about coding, you can learn about all of that, I would politely suggest skip that. skip that. You don't need that aggravation in your life.
Yes.
And then I can't tell you how many times I've encountered with my clients where the client is pretty deep into providing appliance therapy for obstructive sleep apnea, and they're doing it through medical insurance, and the insurance company when doesn't pay, and when they reach out to the insurance company, it goes like this: listen, we are a medical insurance company. We don't pay dental offices. I can't tell you how many times I've heard that. Now, I'm not saying there isn't maybe some kind of sophisticated workaround that you could do, but I think it's far better to take the no insurance approach. Just tell the patient, they'll ask, is it covered by my dental insurance? No, this is a much more advanced service. Your dental insurance is only meant to cover the most basic things. Is it covered by my medical insurance? Our experience with that has been futile, that medical insurance companies don't think kindly to paying for dental services. You can try it if you want, but here's how it works. This is our fee, and come up with a case fee. Here's our fee. And the way it works is you pay us. And then if you can get any reimbursement from the insurance company on your own, think of that as a bonus. Now, are there some people that will say, well, then never mind? Yeah, you bet. But many more people will say, well, I've been to one of those sleep centers. And they shouldn't call them a sleep center because there's no sleeping that goes on in a sleep center. You're wired up, like a robot.
Yes, I did that.
And I didn't sleep. Yeah, and I guarantee you didn't sleep either, Naren.
I didn't. I felt like I slept for 2 hours. They claimed I slept for 6 hours. I have no idea how that happened.
That would be 6 more hours than anybody I know. And then they say, then they sent me, I have sleep apnea. I know I have it because I had the test. Then they sent me to a sleep physician, and the sleep physician recommended a CPAP.
Yes.
And I'm never going to wear one. And before we can even get it out of our mouth, do you understand the risk? They say, yeah, I understand the risk. I understand that it could be life-threatening. I could die, but I'm not going to wear a CPAP. And I've done some research. And by the way, where did they do the research, Naren? Google. I've done some research, and I understand there are some dental solutions for obstructive sleep apnea, and that's why I'm here.
Right.
And the research that they did was Google.
Right.
And they found you on page 1, and they looked at your reviews and discovered that you have, 1,200 reviews, or however many you have. You got 500 reviews. And they read a few of them. A couple of them were about having sleep apnea successfully treated, and they're in your office. Right. And is the patient happy that their medical insurance isn't going to pay?
They're not.
They're not. But they're so frustrated, rightfully so, that they're going to find another way to get it taken care of. And that's your office, and they're going to pay for it out of pocket. Absolutely. And if they don't, then you're not the right office for them.
And I think my experience is, with all the clients who are treating sleep apnea with the dental practices who are doing that, they are very successful with the approach that Gary just gave us. There's a lot of people, they don't want to die. I mean, like the number one fear is like, you sleep and I think one of the Supreme Court judges, I think he passed away not too long ago. And I think they're saying it could have been because of sleep apnea. That particular night, he was not wearing his machine when they found him dead.
Every year, there'll be someone in the public spotlight. It might be a celebrity, it might be an athlete, it might be a former politician. Mm-hmm. And they're featured as, a victim of sleep apnea. And that's actually very good. I mean, you're sorry that someone lost their life from that, and many people do, but it really gets the public's attention. When someone they feel like they know through the public, has been impacted by sleep apnea.
Right.
That's my approach to medical insurance. You're welcome to try, but I don't think anybody needs that. None of our listeners need that headache.
Yeah, the one I was thinking of is Justice Scalia. He's the one who passed away, and they suspect it may have been to do with sleep apnea. Right. Let me ask you the next question, Gary. The next question is, this is the last one, by the way, the fourth one. I'm very interested in building the cosmetic dentistry component of my practice, but I do not know where to start. Any suggestions?
Well, the first thing that I would do if you're interested in cosmetic dentistry is I would take David Hornbrook's course in Utah, the hands-on course where you'll bring a patient, you'll bring an assistant, and you'll do a 10-unit upper anterior porcelain veneer case. Naren, check my URL, but I believe it's just davidhornbrook.com, but that's distinct from his practice. Take a look at that and tell me if that's his course site. That would be a great course because you're going to do a case and there's going to be 19 other dentists in that course. There'll be 20 altogether, and you're going to get to see 20 cases, all kinds of different nuances of cosmetic dentistry. And that's going to help build your confidence around it. You're going to say, oh, I remember how so-and-so treated this case. It's going to help build your confidence. Just a great way to start. And then what I would do to keep your momentum going, here's exactly where I would start with this. Find 2 cases in your practice. Find those 8-unit, 10-unit upper anterior porcelain veneer cases. Find 2 of them and offer to do that case at a reduced fee. Maybe they pay lab fee only. Maybe it's a 50% discount. Maybe if you charge, $1,800 a veneer, they pay $900 a veneer. And you do those on an off day. Maybe you're a 4-day-a-week dentist, and so you do that case on Friday. That way you can work out all your different systems. Work out how you work with your assistant in those cases. And I would add that the patients you select should fit a couple of criteria. They should be someone in the public spotlight. They don't have to be, high profile. It could be someone that works retail, or it could be someone that works in banking, or it could be a school teacher that has a lot of contact with parents. So someone in the public. Don't pick, the guy that works the graveyard factory, the graveyard shift at the ball bearing factory, because he doesn't know anybody. He doesn't see anybody. So pick someone that has opportunity to interact with other people. And secondly, pick someone that could benefit financially. Maybe it's someone that would love to have this done but can't afford it. Pick someone that would benefit from that. Maybe it's a school teacher. And then do 2 of those cases that way. Work out your systems. You'll now have some befores and afters. And now we'll get some people out there kind of like walking billboards that can't wait to tell everybody about you and the difference you made in their smile. That's where I would start. That's a great way to sort of dive headlong into doing more cosmetic dentistry. Great way to start there. Well, as we wrap up today, I want to bring it back full circle, wish all of our listeners a very happy holiday season. It's a very special time of the year, and I hope you're all enjoying a wonderful, wonderful holiday season. Also want to say thanks, Naren. Thank you for co-hosting this podcast. Thanks for all the amazing work that you and your team at Equa does to help dentists master the world of digital marketing. And also, I want to thank each and every one of our listeners. We appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you so much for being a listener. It means the world to us. And we are going to continue. We can't wait to head into 2024. That will be, by the way, the beginning of our 13th year of publishing the Thriving Dentist Show. So stay tuned. We've got a lot more stuff coming. And at this point, let me simply thank you for the privilege of your time. Remember to register for that masterclass. Go to thrivingdentist.com/masterclass. It's coming up January 16th, Mastering Confidence in Your Personal and Professional Life. You'll not only learn amazing skills, but you'll be benefiting an incredible charity, Pastures of Grace. Hope to see you at the masterclass. Thanks, guys.